Hi folks, I have some shout outs. The first is for Three Rivers Piper, the second for Brendan Gainey, and the third for Spiro Dotgeek. And they'll all be in the bucket after the video so that you can go and visit them if you wish and give them a sign of our love. I'd like to read you a story. I don't think I've read this to you before. It's called The Plague, and it's a report to a government office. The movement of biohazard material always entails a certain degree of risk. These risks are well known and provided for at each and every stage. From the time the product's placed in its travelling container, in a biologically secure lab, to the time it's placed in a secure storage at its destination. We've always known that you couldn't provide for the unexpected or the unknown risk. On this occasion, the unexpected happened. It was so small to pass unnoticed. No one could have foreseen the terrible events that would follow. On the 15th of the 8th, 2020, at the Research Centre at Petersville, a new biological container was removed from the stores area and taken to the laboratory. There it was given a final examination for defects. None were found. And the container was used to transfer biological material 266459 from Petersfield to the John O'Groats Research. All went well with the transfer, and the container was taken to the lab by Sergeant X. He placed the container in the biologically secure box in the back of his car. He then drove in the middle of a security convoy of 4 other cars to John O'Groats. On arriving, he removed the container and gave it to laboratory staff for storage. 18 hours later, the hospitals began to report an unknown illness. The first hospitals to report were from the north of Scotland and the south of England. One of the first to report sick was Sergeant X. Within 36 hours, reports were coming in from every part of the United Kingdom, and within 48 hours, reports were coming in from around the world. Most patients died within the first 2 days of reporting ill. The death rate was 98% of those who caught the illness. Symptoms began with high temperature, dizziness, and bleeding from the nose, eyes, and gums. This led to a shutting down of internal organs, and death followed quickly. The illness affected over 50% of the population. Her Majesty's biological testing stations immediately realised that the illness had to be caused by some kind of leak during the transfer of 265459, and this virus had no known cure and had been transferred north in order to develop a vaccine. It was extremely fortunate that a doctor in Nigeria noticed that his patients who had suffered from malaria seemed to have caught the disease in a mild form. This eventually led to the development of a vaccine from the blood of those patients. It gave some protection against the virus. 6 months after the development of the vaccine, the virus mutated into a harmless form, and no more patients were reported. We're still collating the total numbers of the deceased around the world. In the UK, it appears at least 30 to 31 million people died. In the chaos that followed, the government collapsed and the royal family all died. The whole capitalist system failed, as did our manufacturing and food industries. The breakdown of society and mass famine were only averted by the introduction of martial law. It's likely that martial law will continue for the foreseeable future. Last year, an inquiry was started to ascertain what had caused the leak during transfer. This inquiry was made almost impossible because many of the people had died. However, on close examination of the container, it was noticed that at some point the lab technician placed a gloved thumb on the seal of the container, and lubricant on the gloves made the seal unstable. It was later found the government of the day, in order to save costs, had imported a different seal, and the seal passed all tests and was found suitable. But what was not tested for was the film of lubricant on gloves. In effect, the saving of 0.75 of a penny cost the lives of half the population of the United Kingdom. All the developed countries of the world suffered the same amount. The third world less so, because of the widespread population. We, like all other countries, are begging members of the third world to come to us, and even with the offer of free housing, free car, and high wages. Very few have chosen to come. It will take many years before our country is able to support itself to the standard before the plague. Martial law must be maintained, and however unpleasant the means used, order must be maintained. It's important that we have workers to do the essential work necessary. Sadly, most have to be forced to work and are kept in camps, guarded day and night. We know that in certain parts of the country there are bands of people who've escaped and are living wild. But the effort needed to round those people up is not worth it. The areas of the country that they're in are now uninhabited. The area that is inhabited are small areas around the south coast, in the capital city London, and on each side of the Thames. There's nothing else to say except may God have mercy on our souls. I've often wondered what would happen if biomaterials escaped. And that's why I wrote this little piece, just out of my imagination, just to see what I could come up with. Right, enough of the story. Went to the Pipe Club on Saturday. Unfortunately, there were only 2 of us there this week, but it was still worth meeting because the staff from the Cuban Cigar Club where we meet also came in, and the young lady there smokes a pipe, so we were able to talk about different tobaccos, different pipes, and just talk about anything really. But it was nice just to sit and share a pipe together. I came home a bit early, which surprised Carolyn, and I'm glad to say that my weight is still going down. I've lost over 5.5 stone now, and I have about 4 stone more to lose. And I'm hoping I'll do that in about 3 or 4 months, if that. I think that's really all I've got to say. Anyway, if you could give the shoutouts a visit, I'd be grateful. I hope you've had a good weekend, and I hope this video comes out all right. I'm using a new computer with a new camera system on. I don't know what the sound will be like, but if it's too loud, it might be eased by turning it down a bit. Anyway, good night, folks, and may each day be better than the last.